What makes us human? What makes somebody a woman? And what makes somebody a man? I read this excerpt from this book called Stiffed last night. It was in a psychology editorial that was just like sitting out as a free book in my psych department. And that was like a few months ago that I picked it up. But last night I read it for the first time. And the book is basically, the full title is Script, the Root of Male Rage. And it's basically about how men are told that they know how to be men, but there is no real way to be a man. So people are basically just chasing non-existent ideals. And then they feel at odds with themselves, and they feel confused and useless, ultimately, because they're told to do this thing, support, dominate, but a lot of them don't actually want to do that. I mean, who does? Power is cool sometimes, but like, it just comes with a lot of issues. So yeah, the excerpt was only a few pages long, but it ended by saying that for men to really find out what masculinity means to them, they have to figure out what being a human means, how to be a human. And the way that men feel most comfortable in their masculinity is when they're contributing to humanity. When they're using their skills to benefit the whole. So masculinity is femininity, and being masculine or being feminine is just being a human. And this book was written in the 90s. How many people are out there beating themselves up for not fitting into a box? And in the excerpt, the author was like, yeah, there was the feminist movement in the 70s, and it was really successful because it had an enemy to pit against, which is men. And this is a quote, not directly, but every civil rights movement of the past century had some enemy to fight against, and that was what united the masses. Because if there's one way to get a whole bunch of people to unite, it's give them an enemy to hate. For Christians, it's the devil. You know, liberals, it's conservatives. Conservatives, it's liberals. It goes on and on. And so, feminists had it easy in their fight. But now there's this new thing. I wonder what it's gonna be called. The masculine movement. The men's movement. It should really be called the humanist movement, but that already means something else. But man's movement, I think that using that term will get people more acquainted with the idea that a man can be a victim. That's another reason why there's so much confusion and discontent, because there's no singular enemy to be mad at or blame. It's just a collective societal thing. And sure, it could be capitalism or whatever, but at the end of the day, we participate in capitalism. And at the end of the day, it's really about what you choose to do with yourself. And just kind of like being comfortable with exploring yourself and expressing yourself, and being okay with not fitting in. Because niggas love to label things. And that's the masculine part of our brains. And when I say masculine and feminine brain, I mean the part of the brain that is zeroed in on solving a math equation versus the brain that paints a landscape, surveys the grounds, or thinks in terms of the water cycle. That's what I like to do. But yeah, feminine brains, they just it's like there has to be another way to say that. Like thinking in terms of the group, or thinking in terms of an entire system versus only one aspect of the system being masculine. We could say, like, thinking in a feminine way is like Mother Earth containing all the like dirt and animals on it, and then the sun being the father, using these rays, which we can visualize as arrows, to activate cells and make them grow. And then on Mother Earth, they turn into this whole, ecosystem thing. But yeah, so yeah, labeling things is like the strict logic pattern recognition part of our brains. Well, we have pattern recognition everywhere. I'm not gonna limit that to just one fucking function, but let's just keep it at logic. And we do that because if we don't have labels on something, we get scared of what we don't know. So if we put a label on something, it means there's less fear from us because we know what to expect, which is just not true. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. Because things are always changing. One label you put on something is gonna have to be revised eventually. Whether it's in a few days or 100 years. The words in the dictionary don't even stay the same. So why bother? Why try to force this thing? And it's just because monkey brains, Like, we're still the same humans that existed like thousands of years ago. But now we fucking know each other. Now we know every single person on this goddamn planet. And it didn't used to be like that. So it's easy to be scared and not trust people and want to put them in boxes because you know you can't contain them. But I think that just by allowing yourself to play and have fun and explore who you are and what you really like, by doing that, you come to appreciate the depth that you harbor within you. And then it becomes easier to see that other people have that depth too. And a lot of people don't prioritize that. A lot of people don't prioritize fun. It's a workaholic culture. It really is. Fucking Mark Zuckerberg is depressed as shit. Yeah, he's wealthy, but is he gonna kill himself in the next few years? Who knows? Does he ever look like he's actually having fun to you? Niggas never relaxed, bro. There's just always tension in his face that he's holding, and I'm not like a fucking... I don't stay up to date on the Zuckerberg news, but just from the pictures that I've seen of him on like social media posts and news outlets, articles, it just goes to show that, yeah, if you do work hard, you could have all this money, but do you really feel human at the end of the day? So what makes us really human? Freedom, fun, expression, creative expression, vulnerability. Animals in the wild don't allow themselves to be vulnerable because everybody's out to get each other. Only in like some occasions they'll be vulnerable if they don't have a choice. Like if they have a broken leg or something, and then the other animal just happens to be nice or something. But at our big age, we should be a little more realistic about the dangers that we really come across on a daily basis. There is no fitting in with the group. There is no group to fit in anymore. Whatever expression you have, whatever activities you like to do, your people are gonna flock to you. If your relationships are real, the way that you express yourself should not matter. The way you like to live your life should not matter at the end of the day. And you know, if somebody has a problem with whatever you do, this is so vague, but like it just means they're not really for you. Like a real deep-seated thing that you can't just like talk about. I just think that people are used to having these superficial relationships that are built off of lies. And we really have to learn how to stop living a lie. And it is hard to recognize. It's hard to recognize yourself after so many years and persuasions that you have to do this one thing so that you can live the best life, when like nobody can tell you that. You kind of just have to figure it out for yourself. Oh, another thing about being human is contributing to the whole. Because, like, animals, wild animals, I don't know if they have a concept of there being, like, millions of them existing. Or billions. And they just, like, they do have, like species survival. They do have that mindset. Some of them. And some of them also have the ability to innovate and make tools. But we... What's the difference between the way that we contribute to society versus the way that dolphins contribute to society? Well, the way that we do it affects the entire planet. What we do really dictates the future of everything we know. To exist. Like, one fell swoop and it could all be over, non-existent, gone. But the way that we contribute to society also boosts our entire population's intelligence. So, like, animals can't use the internet to show people Bach, for example. So, the feminist movement and feminism can really only go as far as their male counterparts go. Because we all have these boxes pushed on us, aka gender roles. And it's a symbiotic relationship. Or a synchronistic relationship. They both exist at the same time and they both benefit each other. The gender roles of, well, yeah, any gender really, even non-binary niggas named Sock. But yeah, so make sure to climb out of those boxes, guys. Or just really, like, think about what it means to you to be a man or a woman. Because after I read that excerpt last night, I thought to myself, what does it mean to be a woman? And all I could think about was dressing up. Playing dress up. That's literally all I could think about. Playing dress up. And so I think that if we really like just like sit down and like write or talk about it with a loved one or a stranger, or just like ponder, we can really see how childish our notions really are about what it means to be a woman or a man. And how we're just boxing ourselves in by validating these claims. And hell yeah, I like playing dress up. And yeah, I bet a lot of men do like to barbecue. What does it mean? Okay, so to be a woman, to me, means playing dress up. To be a man, I have no fucking clue. I absolutely have no fucking clue. And one of the points in that excerpt was that men don't have a fucking clue about what it is to be a man either. There's this like idea of being a provider, but like that's not specific to men. So if it's not being a provider, then what is it? It's nothing. There's absolutely nothing that that says that a man should do a thing to be a man. It doesn't exist. It likewise for women. To be okay, so in this context, the man is the provider and the woman is the nurturer. There's absolutely no there's no rule that says a woman has to be a nurturer, has to provide nurturing. And a lot of women are fucking terrible at it. Like, a lot of mothers in the wild kill their babies and don't know how to take care of them. And so do humans. A lot of them kill their babies and don't know how to take care of them. So these notions are completely unfounded. And who benefits from these ideas? Post-war America. 1950s, peak housewife, peak corner office, peak suburbs. And you know why? Because this is the first generation of men who didn't know how to be men. They didn't have fathers to be role models for them. And so America swoops in and says, hey, I'll give you this job to do. The tasks consist of complete nonsense, but you're gonna provide for your family, and your wife is gonna be the nurturer. And and that's it. You're gonna work a nonsense job. You're gonna make $80,000 and get laid off 10 years later, but that's not our problem. That's who the provider nurture narrative benefits. Post-war capitalist America. So who's the real enemy here? Is there an enemy? We have to move from blaming capitalism to figuring out, just looking up the people who benefit from capitalism. It's not hard. but it's easier to blame an idea than to blame these people who I think that we think that they make life easier for us. It's the same fucking dilemma. It's like, oh, I have this nonsense job. I don't know what I'm doing, but for some reason I'm making $80,000. And they're taking care of me, so I can't complain. I think we still have that same fucking mindset. But nobody's taking care of anybody. In the whole capitalism pyramid, in the whole caste system that we live in, there is no cyclical support. There's no mutual support or recognition. Capitalism is very strictly a man-eat-man world. It's based on Darwinian principles, and even people who say that survival of the fittest is a Darwinian principle are fucking stupid. I'm just kidding. They're not stupid, but Darwin never said that it's about survival. He said it's about chance. The classic Darwinian example is of the two moths in industrial England. One is fucking dark brown, one is white. The dark brown one fits in more because of all the fucking smog and pollution, and the white ones get eaten and die out. They didn't fight to be that color. They didn't struggle and work hard to change the color of their skin. It just so happened that they were like that. And so I think that calling capitalism a Darwinian concept is accurate. Somewhat. Because people of certain conditions are like have like more access to stuff, and I do see like this is like really how it used to be, but now a lot more people have access to things because everybody has access to the internet. But yeah, Darwinian thing, blah blah blah. Lots to think about. But yeah, man. Yeah, because in the 50s, like, all their dads were at war, fucking gone. And there were these warriors that, like, the men who went to war were the warriors, were the providers. And the sons who eventually, got that nonsense job in suburbia felt like they had to live up to this image that was painted for pro-war stuff and, nationalism, all that stuff. But this is the only real idea that they had of their fathers, because they were gone during the war. And then after the war, they have PTSD, so they're a shell of a person. So, fatherless behavior. I think that we can really benefit from this move away from Darwinism and capitalism. You can really build your skills. Like, you can really just, like, figure out what you like to do and do that shit and get really good at it. It's a lot easier now to find yourself. What media did people have to listen to back in the 50s? Fucking TVs weren't a normal thing. I think TVs weren't a thing till the 60s. They had the radio, newspapers, magazines, books. And a lot of this is, like, sheltered information. The information you're getting is only as good as the people who are, like, getting that information to you. But now, if something doesn't seem right or accurate, you can become the expert in that thing. Or just do your own, like, fucking research on that thing. We're not confined anymore. There's little inklings of it here and there. But fuck, anything is possible now. It's like we've reached this new frontier of what being a human is. That excerpt also pointed out that when women, like, reach the top or become CEOs in the same way that men did, they inherit the same domineering traits, authoritarian traits, as the men did. They become patriarchal. That's what she means by the feminist movement can only go so far without men overcoming the same obstacles. And I just wonder, like, how many men recognize this and or want to overcome those obstacles. How can you fight a fight with no enemy? How can you unite without something to blame? How do you convince somebody? You have to play into the frames of mind that they already possess. If you pay attention to the way that somebody speaks and reacts to things, then you can get a sense of the frame that they have or the stories that they keep in their brain to help them comprehend events that happen in the world. And if you use those frames and stories, like, for example, earlier I was talking about how women nurture and men provide. That's a frame. That's a story that people keep in their minds to help them process things. And we can have good frames and bad frames. By help them process, I mean the brain uses these things as shortcuts. So, in order to move into this, we have to activate this. Like, what part of the brain would that be? Listening to people and taking in a holistic image of them would be feminine. It's receptive, caring. It's just receptive. And then, okay, so this is like the strategy. You take on the receptive side first, the empathetic side first, and then after you use the masculine logician side to, like, pick apart, like, oh, how can I, fit these categories into here to make them comprehend what I'm saying. And it'll take practice. It'll take a lot of practice. But it's important to stay genuine about it. And just keep in mind that, the future of humanity, depends on this and whatever.